Alright, here it is, guys, the video that nobody asked for. Alright, I'm taking a shot at this. I've been hesitant because, you know, there's a million ways to skin a cat, and especially in my career field, somebody is going to have a problem with something out here. So, going into this, I totally understand that. If you think this is a completely asinine setup, I got no issues with that. You do whatever you want to do, and I'm going to continue to adjust this thing every single time I use it as I find stuff I'm not happy with. So, now that we've got that covered, this is what I'm using for first line right now, and you're going to have to take this with a pretty big grain of salt based on my job and the fact that, you know, 98% of that does not involve a firearm. Alright, so took this thing down to a Ravens challenge. That was the last time I really used it, and I really enjoyed what I had on here. It worked out really well for me, and everything was comfortable, and I didn't feel like I was lacking anything. Alright, so usually don't have a firearm as part of my duties, but it's possible. So we'll start over here with these two pistol pouches. Now these, I think, are from a company called Recon Tactical or something like that. I had them laying around. They are not the long-term solution. Alright, so the first one here is we've got my Gerber Det. Alright, what I'm going to do is I already have a Tier Tactical pouch. I'm going to swap that out, and I'm going to kick it over here. This one I'll get rid of altogether. So we'll have Taco for pistol reload if needed, and then the Tier pouch for the multi-tool. Alright, this pouch, I've just got a little bit tool here. Alright, with a handful of different bits in there. So basically what I've decided is if there's no pistol involved, that will go in the pistol pouch. If there is a pistol involved, I won't need that tool. Alright. Next up, we've got a Sword M4 suppressor pouch. I'm not sure what suppressor that fits, but I've got this redonkulous flashlight in there. Alright, I hate that this flashlight ended up being useful, but it has enough power coming out of it that middle of the day I was able to shine it through doorways into dark areas and still be able to make stuff out. So if you don't have enough power in your flashlight, you're going to quickly figure that out when it's daylight and you're trying to look into a dark void. Alright, so this is Nightcore SRT 9. I don't know. It's like an Amazon flashlight. But it worked out alright. It's got some colored lights. If this thing had an IR source instead of a UV source, I think this would be a pretty sweet handheld. Alright, I would never recommend Nightcore on a weapon, but it did its job just fine. Alright, after that we've got the second biggest pouch from the Crye Smart Pouch System lineup. They're all done by size, and I will put the exact or the accurate name of it in the description. But second biggest, and I just use this for 2 water bottles. Alright, happen to have Gatorade bottles in here right now. If you're using the 500 milliliter deployment type water bottles, you can fit 3 of them in there. Just, you know, pick and choose what you want. And then there's enough room at the bottom of this pouch that I'm going to add an Altoids tin, like E&E type kit. It won't add much weight, it'll fit in there, and it'll keep it out of the way pretty well. I like having some bottles handy, not because I don't trust bladders or anything like that, but having these bottles handy provides me the ability to use some water bottle charges without having to really carry water dedicated for that. So personal hydration that can turn into a tool if needed, and you can always, you know, recycle the end product there if needed as well. Alright, but this pouch is a pretty banging setup. It does more than I'm ever going to figure out what it does, but it's got Velcro on the inside so that you can mount some organizers, It's got some internal tension to it, some stretch panels. The SPS line, if you're not aware of it, is awesome. It's a big investment to get into, but it's super flexible and it can keep you from having to reconfigure your kit. Right? It also uses some pretty sweet little thin cut tabs there, or you can belt mount it. So super flexible pouch, and I really enjoyed having a hydration source on my belt that I could quickly refill when needed. Right? Moving on, got a LBT 9022 IFAC. This is about as small of an IFAC as I think is worthwhile. I'm probably going to swap this out to the TPG black slider. It just fits just a little bit more, and it's not, you get a little bit of organization, a little bit of retention. What I've got in there right now is just a Ziploc bag full of supplies, so once I dump it, I'm working out of a Ziploc bag, which is okay, but not super ideal. All right. Next up, we've got the Explosive Ops Gear hook and line pouch. Now I went back and forth on having hook and line stuff on my belt, but I ended up being a pretty big fan of it. All right, I'm going to be wearing body armor, but I'm not at all a fan of having specialized tools on my armor, and this is about as extreme as I wanted to go on having specific work tools outside of a ruck. All right, so hook and line kit, there's always a possibility for needing hook and line, so I thought it would make sense on the belt. Even if I'm wearing this thing on a range clearance, we might still need some line handy. So you got hydration, you got line, you can do a lot of our mission with that, right? If you're not familiar with this thing, it's pretty neat. It's got a Velcro retention here, and then the whole pouch rips off. So you're not trying to work off your backside with this thing. You can pull it out, get it in front of you, figure out what tools you got in there, and go ahead and send it. All right. I'm using 550 cord in there for training right now, so don't screw up my good line. But it holds a good amount, and then I've got it on this 3D printed reel in here that'll take a mine probe to help pay it out. All right, so good flexibility there, and then it's got some side pockets here for your different attachments. So you know, I got an assortment of eyelets and hooks stashed in here, and then J-knife. Right. I'm still kind of playing around with what stuff I want super handy from the hook and line. And then the last bit of this, so if there's a pistol involved, I'm going to unthread the buckle, slide that off, slide my Safariland on, and put the dump pouch back on. Right? Not totally ideal if there's a pistol involved, having the dump pouch in front, but that's what I'm working with, because I don't know how some of you guys fit so much on your belts. Right? But yeah, if there's no pistol involved, that's just on a belt loop. Slide that in the back, keep it out of the way, and go ahead and deploy it. I don't have anything huge here. All right, just a little pouch. The Blue Force Gear one, I've seen a lot of guys use that. That thing looks pretty awesome. I'm just a little hesitant of the material involved, knowing that if I'm using the dump pouch, it's probably not for mags. It's probably for bits and pieces of something that I just shot, and some of that stuff can get pretty jagged. So I'm kind of a fan of having a 1000D or at least 500D dump pouch, just for the lifespan of the pouch. All right, nothing against any of those other options. I just think for my usage, a thicker material dump pouch is cool. Right. The whole setup is on a Ronin belt. I don't remember for the life of me which model, and I don't think it really matters, because I think the D-ring is the only thing that changes with the model name. All right. And then, as I've previously hinted at in other videos, I got rid of the inner belt for the Ronin, and I just used the MDOM flex belt in my my pants, and it lines up perfectly. I haven't had any issues with that, and I really like having an actual belt that this attaches to, as opposed to just an inner belt. Plus, Ronin won't color match the inner belt for whatever reason. So the flex belt allows me to have a uniform compliant belt that this will attach to. Kind of a goofy way of getting to that solution, but that's how it worked out. All right, so hopefully this wasn't too much of a disaster. If it's a success, I'll look at doing some other videos of this type, but I wanted to give this a shot, and I thought this was the most harmless way to approach this. All right, so you know, it's a continuous process. I know I'm going to trade out the pistol pouch. I'd like to find some suspenders that play well with this setup and give those a shot. But other than that, tweaking the tools and the hook and line, maybe tweaking the IFAK, I think I've got a pretty viable solution here. So the items might change, but the footprint will not, and I'm really happy with what I'm working with here. So I appreciate your time. If you guys got nothing out of this, that's cool, let me know, and I won't waste your time again. If you liked it, please leave me a comment, and I will for sure do more of these. If you guys can give me some subscriptions, that would be awesome. Comments are cool, so I get some feedback. Other than that, I appreciate your time, guys. Thanks.